Hey, what's up, everybody? Starter35 here, bringing you guys in another video. And this video is on my thoughts and what I think about the I suppose you could say controversial Order 1886 game. As you would know, there's a lot of controversies around in this game. With the scores and stuff that's been getting and all that. And I just wanted to bring you guys my thoughts and opinions on it because I just recently beat the game. I still got to go back and get the rest of the trophies in and get the platinum, which will take like pretty much no time at all because it's a real easy platinum. It's like Infamous Second Son easy platinum. But I just wanted to give you guys my thoughts on what I think about it, and basically, I think it was a pretty good game. I played it, I completed it. I didn't see what the fuss was about. I mean, no, it's not perfect. No, the game is not perfect. It has its flaws. I'm going to talk about the flaws a little later on, but I played the game in full, and what I played from it, I generally legitimately enjoyed the game. To me, it was a pretty good game. It was decent. It wasn't. I don't think it's as bad as people are trying to make it out to be. I mean, it's not an extremely extraordinary out of this world game. It's not that either. But I think people were being a little too harsh on this game. But we'll just go into what I liked and disliked about it anyway. Okay, so first off, we'll just start with the good things. First, everyone says, it looks great and all that stuff and phenomenal. It does. It's a really beautiful looking game. So, people pretty much always said that. And that's true. It's a great looking game. I love the whole cinematic style of it. And, another thing I liked was how the cutscenes and gameplay transition. It was smooth. It was as smooth as the developers said it was going to be when they were when they were first talking about the game and all that stuff. The transition from cutscene to gameplay is really smooth and really nice. There were some parts where I didn't even know I had control of my character. I was just sitting there staring at it until something popped up telling me to move. I had no clue I could even move at some points of the game like that. And I actually kind of like the characters too. I mean, the game, it doesn't have tremendous character development or anything, but they weren't the greatest characters in a video game out there or anything like that. But they were kind of cool. They were all right. They were kind of cool characters and all that. And I like Igraine. I think that's how you pronounce her name, Igraine or Izzy, as Sir Galahad calls her. I liked Sir Galahad. I like Lafayette, the French guy. He was kind of funny. Sometimes he was kind of funny. He was like that. Guy that's funny. When he's not being serious, and then he's serious when he needs to be, and all that stuff. He was a pretty good character. Another thing I liked was the shooting mechanics, and the shooting mechanics and the way the shooting felt in this game was actually pretty tight. It was a pretty nice shooting mechanic in this game. The firefight, I never had that much of a difficulty trying to aim and shoot people in the firefights in this game. So whatever firefights were in the game, I actually enjoyed them. And they were really fun. The guns work well. I'm just gonna get into the guns later, but the guns, the rate of fire and all that stuff. The guns were fun to use. I haven't used every single gun in the game. There was a couple that I just didn't pick up at the time, but I used the majority of the weapons, and they were all pretty fun. And another thing I liked about the weapons was how some of them were, had the special. I think those would be classified as the science weapons, but what was it, the thermite gun? That was pretty fun to use. And then the normal standard issue rifle you get with that kind of concussion thing you can use to knock down people. I didn't use it that much, but it was kind of a cool attachment to the weapon. It had this grenade launcher you could shoot and place sticky grenades, and you can detonate them whenever you wanted, or you can shoot out multiple ones and just detonate them one at a time, or shoot out multiple ones and detonate them all at the same time. I thought that was a pretty cool weapon. So yeah, I really like some of the weapons in this game. They're pretty cool. They kind of reminded me a little bit of the style of weapons as in the first Resistance. I mean, not all of them had an alternate rate of fire, and not all of them were as unique and stuff like that as there were in the first Resistance, but just the way they looked and the way they were built, and the way they handled just kind of seemed kind of reminiscent of the first Resistance Fall of Man and that game's weapons and all that. Plus, since both take place in really older time periods, even though the Order 1886 takes place in a way older time period. And another thing I liked about the game was the setting, that Victorian setting. So that was a pretty cool setting. I haven't played too many games that take place in that Victorian time setting, but it looked really good. The areas you went to, the buildings and all that stuff. Just some scenes where you could just stand there and just look out at the horizon, all that stuff. Just the areas. It was a really well crafted looking place you could go to. I liked a lot of the layout for a lot of the places, except for the places where it was extremely dark, and those places where you go to the tunnels. Those just kind of a little hard to navigate through those, but that was all right. And now I think I'll go on to some of the parts I didn't like about the game. One of the things that I really didn't like about the game that bothered me the most was how the camera zooms in a little too much. It's mainly when you take cover only, but it's still annoying. But when you go up against cover in this game, I don't know why, but for some strange reason the camera zooms in on your character a little too much. So when you're hiding behind, I've had this happen a couple times, quite a few times in this game, but you'll go up against cover, and you're trying to everyone's shooting at you, so you're trying to pan the camera around so you can see where everyone's at, but it's hard or almost impossible to see where people are at because the camera zooms in so much, and you can only rotate the camera up and down and all that stuff, but there's so many, it's such an angle that before you can't do it anymore. And there were some times where I had to get out of cover for a few seconds just so I could look around and get back into cover before I got shot too many times. So that was kind of annoying. It was somewhat similar to what the Evil Within did with its zooming, but thank God in this game it wasn't when you aimed. When you aim in this game, the camera's fine. It only zooms in when you get up against cover. It's still annoying, and I still wish it wouldn't do that because it's kind of hard to see everything, and that's kind of the point in third-person shooters. When you take cover, you want to be able to see where everyone is at while you're behind cover without having to get out of it. So yeah, at least it didn't, zoom in when you aimed with the weapon like it did in the Evil Within. Because when the Evil Within did that, that was really annoying and something I didn't like about it. Another thing I didn't like, it's more, I guess, this would be more somewhat of a personal kind of pet peeve of mine, but I wish the text in the game was a little bit bigger and a little easier to read. I mean, you can still see it and read and stuff. It's just sometimes, I would have to kind of, it's just sometimes, you would have to kind of really look at it to, like I said, it's there and you can read it and stuff. Just, I wish it was just a tad bit bigger. It doesn't have to be huge, gigantic text or anything that blocks half the screen, but just, I just personally felt like the text size for both the subtitles and on the words on some of the documents and stuff you look at, I also felt those were a little too small, and maybe could maybe just a tad bit bigger. But like I said, that's probably more of a personal pet peeve of mine. And another thing that bothered me was the boss fight at the end. I'm not gonna spoil and say exactly what it is, but it's just the freaking boss fight at the end was so underwhelming. It was basically just a quick time event. It's somewhat similar to something else that happens for earlier in the story, and to me, I think it's okay. When you use the quick time, the way this game did it, I thought it was kind of cool the first time because you hadn't really used quick time events in a fight like that of that caliber in the game until that point, and it felt kind of cool because it happened the first time, and it hadn't happened before, so it was kind of like an epic part. I think it was in the third or fourth chapter if I remember, but like I said, I'm not gonna say too much because I don't want to give away spoilers, but it happens somewhere on in there, and it happens somewhere in the game early on, and it was a pretty cool fight at first, because like I said, you haven't done it before, and it was pretty awesome the way to set it up. But then the final boss fight at the end of the game was pretty much similar, almost exact to that. I don't understand. I have a problem with that for two reasons. One, you've done it before, so there's really no point in doing the same, pretty much almost identical type fight, at the end of the game as you did somewhere earlier. And two, I don't get why the final boss fight is a quick time event. No game, I'm telling you, bro, no game should have the final boss be simplified to a freaking quick time event. This is like, I hope this doesn't become a thing. I really hope this doesn't become a thing with games nowadays where boss fights are just quick time events, because I think it was Dying Light, I heard, had a quick time event for the final boss. So the Order is like the second game that come out so far this year that has a quick time event final boss fight. So I really hope that doesn't become a thing. Like, a quick time event really should, no, the final boss of the game should not be a quick time. I mean, you should like actually fight the boss yourself and not have to rely on quick time. And like I said, the quick time events in this game, they weren't as bad as some people were saying. I mean, there were quite a few, but I didn't think it was as bad as people were saying about it. But yeah, they really should not have made the final boss a quick time event. That was stupid. And I really hope that doesn't become a thing with games where the final boss, you just press buttons to win. I really don't want that to become a thing. So yeah, the first time you do it, it's pretty cool because it's pretty epic and it's intense and stuff the first time it happens. But by the end of the game, you're doing it again. It's just there's really no point. So yeah, that basically just pretty much sums up my quick little thoughts and impressions of the Order 1886. So basically, to sum it all up, I think it was a pretty decent game. I think it was a pretty good game. It's not perfect. No, there's no way it's perfect. It has its flaws, but it's not as bad as some people are making it out to be. Like, some of these reviewers, I don't know what kind of drugs these reviewers was on, but it seems like they were over exaggerating about some of the stuff in this game. Like, it's not as bad as reviewers make it out to be. It's a decent game. It can definitely improve in the sequel, and they've seen the ending, just like everyone else has said. It's pretty much gonna get almost guaranteed a sequel if the way the game ended. So there's a lot more they can improve on in the sequel, and I could see them putting co-op, in the sequel. They could definitely do some co-op. I don't really see competitive multiplayer in it that much. I don't really see that, but co-op definitely. They can definitely do some co-op. Like, if they have all 4 characters in it again, yeah, they could definitely rock with like a 4-player co-op for the story. That would be awesome. So yeah, basically to me it was a decent game. I was about to say earlier, I'm not the only one that feels this way either. Pretty much other people that have actually taken the time to play the game themselves say the same thing. They say that they don't know what the reviewers were talking about. It's a decent game. It's not as bad as the reviewers were talking about. A lot of the people I've seen that do reviews on that took the time to play the game themselves, they say they don't understand why the game got so much hate. I feel that same way too. I think this game got a little too much hate toward it. I don't mind playing a cinematic story driven game every now and then. It was a fun experience. I legitimately had genuine fun playing it. Like I said before, it's not a fantastic, out of this world game, but I still had fun with it. It was an enjoyable experience. And
another thing I almost forgot to mention was the game's length, which it's a lot of things people have been getting upset about. The game isn't as short as people are saying or trying to make it out to be. Like your first playthrough on either normal or either medium or hard, you're not beating this game in 5 hours on your first playthrough. You ain't doing it. But with that said, it's not a ridiculously long game. It's still on the fairly short side, but it's not as short as people are trying to make it out to be. So trust me, I've played shorter games than this. That's the thing. If people feel like The Order is a really short game, I feel bad for them, because I played games that were even shorter than I played multiple games that were even shorter than The Order 1886. So.
But yeah, at the end of the day, I recommend getting this game. I mean, yeah, wait for there to be a price drop wait till it goes down to maybe like $40 or something, or in whatever else lower price, and now you can get it. I'd suggest waiting for a price drop, but definitely get this game. It's a fun experience, and I had a lot of fun with it. Just don't listen. Don't always. It's like I said. Don't always listen to reviewers. I haven't taken a review for a game seriously since like literally since about the PS2 days. Like that was about the last time I really looked into reviews like that. I just watch gameplay videos and formulate my own opinion on stuff nowadays. So I really don't even bother reviews like that. But like I said, I would recommend playing this game at some point in time. Wait for a price drop, wait till it's on a good sale or something like that. Pick it up, play it. It's a genuinely fun experience. I like the characters. Like they weren't the best characters, but they were still pretty cool characters. I like the atmosphere and the tone and the style and the feel of the game. It was enjoyable. I like the world and the lore it's set up and all that. I would love for the sequel. I'm already waiting for it. But yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts and impressions on the Order 1886. It was decent. I don't understand why it gets the extreme amount of hate it's getting now, but oh well. Just try it out for yourself. You never know. You may end up liking it. But I'm Stamek35 and I'm out. Please don't forget to leave a rating, comment, and subscribe. Peace.